Morning, good afternoon, good evening. This so-called Geza revolution is still occupying center stage in Zimbabwe's political discourse. Let me say it here and now that I find it truly frustrating. The Catholic Bishop Conference last week equally expressed their frustration with our failed political system. The country is a failed state. We are facing serious economic and political problems. And yet we are stuck on an issue that is at the very best addressing trivial issues. This Geza revolution is nothing but just an infighting in ZANU-PF. And yet the nation finds itself now stuck. Nothing is going to move until that is resolved. How frustrating. Well, this is the latest. We have got the fighting within ZANU-PF is continuing.
Zuva edu asara mashoma hapana chikudzokera kumashure. Machi ino ndo yatakataura kuti ndo yatoda kupedza game titande mambara. Ezvino ngatimborwisa nyoka yapinda mumba iyi. Yagreba mamainzi, yagreba everything, yagreba ma-institution government, yauraya health. Timbomudzinga tozogara pasi tichigadzirisa zvimwe zvinhu zvese. Saka ngatitaure nezwi rimwe chete, we know this is a done deal. Zuva edu asara mashoma hapana chikudzokera kumashure. Machi ino ndo yatakataura kuti ndo yatoda kupedza game titande mambara. Ezvino ngatimborwisa nyoka yapinda mumba iyi. Yagreba mamainzi, yagreba everything, yagreba ma-institution government, yauraya health. Timbomudzinga tozogara pasi tichigadzirisa zvimwe zvinhu zvese.
In other words, the people are being urged that now we must all focus on getting Mnangagwa out of office. And then afterwards, we can address all the other issues. This is getting so tedious. The nation has been rallied together by ZANU-PF and told, no, forget everything else, focus on the most important issue. Before independence, it was we must fight to end white colonial oppression. And yet, on the eve of the nation's independence, ZANU-PF was telling the people, if ZANU-PF does not win the 1980 elections, the Bush War would continue. In other words, now that we have concluded ending the white colonial oppression, forget about fighting for freedom, human dignity, and human rights for all Zimbabweans. What matters now is ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF must have absolute power. We want, you must elect us to rule the country, or else the Bush War would continue. Of course, the people voted to end the Bush War. And no sooner had ZANU-PF got their legs under the desk, they started plotting the next move. The infamous Ukurawundi. I've said it on this platform and I'll say it again. The primary purpose of the 1983 to 1987 Ukurawundi was to force PF SAPO to give up its aspiration as an independent political party and join up with ZANU-PF. PF SAPO was the only real political challenge to ZANU-PF at the time. And ZANU-PF did not want that. So the Ukurawundi massacre was to force PF SAPO leaders to give up their independent political aspirations. And when they signed the Unity Accord of 1987, Ukurawundi stopped. And by signing the Unity Accord, it cleared the desk to enable Mugabe and his cronies to impose the de facto one-party state that has ruled Zimbabwe to this day. And in a de facto one-party state, the ruling elite set the agenda. Whether it's relevant to the nation's needs and aspirations, it's irrelevant. We are stuck with this so-called Geza revolution because ZANU-PF, that's what they want us to talk about. Just to remind everyone what the Geza revolution was all about, here is the man himself talking about it.
Are you against the 2030 slogan?
Yeah, I'm very much against it. I think from my last interview, now that this is bullshit. You know? This is bullshit.
But you...
Yes. Fighters. One way up in the State House.
But you were two guys. Robert Kapio Mugabe was your guy.
Ah, fuck off, man. When we say my war veterans, right? Our man nationalists, don't talk my war veterans. You know?
What's the difference?
I'm not prepared to expand. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, on another occasion with the same gentleman, the journalist Blessed Mshanga, he did expand. And he made it very clear, this is about power.
Aiwaga. Mirani kutauri imwe zvinhu zvinoitika. Hani ndiri kutokutaurira. Kurauza kuti hatina kupusaka because ndiri kutokutaurira kuti tozviziva. You know, takapusaka ndisikakutauriri zvese. We'll deal with this situation at the appropriate time. But ndiri kutotaura kuti commander vamunangagwa, right? Navachiwenga, handidi, right? Ngava dissolve the political bureau. Tikwane isu, varizive chunhu. Ngava dissolve cabinet. Inozinana kazembe, vana soda, vanani, haumbozi kutaura pane kupaniwa. Vana kamba muda, vanani. You know, why do you hate your comrades? You know, kune general, kune retired CIO wakawanda, kune retired commissioners of police and other senior officers wakawanda. Havadiwe.
Maybe the president is looking at capacity and capability.
Bullshit. When I'm grade 7, I know capacity and capability. Grade 7. You know, what a beach you're going. Now I was Minister of State, Mangwana Provincial Minister. It's terrible. It's terrible. We are not apologetic about it. Children do it. Turn out of being not out of the president, one was motor, one about you don't have a bodyguard.
But you've got your own cars. You've got a hotel at your house that you built in Sanyat. Why do you want all this?
I want to be rewarded as well. Not to be used like a political condom all the time. I'm not a political condom. And urkoda wanama hiya waya na wama.
So the truth of the matter is this whole Geza revolution is about power. As much as the war veterans are the ones who imposed Robert Gabriel Mugabe on the nation in 1980, and they've kept him in power for 37 years. In 2017, the war veterans decided they had had enough of Mugabe, and they pushed him out. And in his place, they imposed Mnangagwa. Now, after nearly 8 years, at least one part of the war veterans are sick and tired of Mnangagwa. They want him out because they think it is their turn to rule. In all this, the ordinary Zimbabweans have no say. I started at the beginning by saying Zimbabwe is a failed state. And the number one reason why we are a failed state is that we have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections. The right to a meaningful say in the governance of the country is more than just a right. It is the very essence of good governance. If you can't hold those in positions of power and authority to account, they will set their own agenda. They will do as they please. This is why Zimbabwe, we are stuck with the same corrupt, incompetent, and utterly useless leaders. We can't remove them from office because we have no meaningful vote. In Zimbabwe, the ordinary people have a vote, but it only counts if it happens to coincide with the wishes of the ZANU-PF ruling elite and the war veterans. The war veterans and the ZANU-PF ruling elite have the veto on who governs Zimbabwe. Yes, we have held regular elections every 5 years or so for the last 45 years. But those results, those elections were null and void as long as they threatened ZANU-PF's hold on power. We, the ordinary people, have not had any say, meaningful say in the governance of Zimbabwe. This is the truth. And as much as some people would want to join and support this so-called Geza revolution, I think they've learned nothing from the past. Those people have learned nothing from history. This so-called Geza revolution is no different from the 2017 coup. It was an in-house fighting in ZANU-PF, one faction fighting the other for the control of the party. ZANU-PF remained the de facto one-party state. Zimbabwe remained under the iron grip of ZANU-PF. It was just a matter of which faction is going to rule. And it was a mistake for the people to think that it was about ending the dictatorship and good governance. It was not. That is the point. We now have got to sit and wait. This, as we heard at the beginning of this discussion, the statement by the young man Nyokaya Mabunu calling on Zimbabweans to join in on the 31st of March as part of this revolution. The nation, the ordinary people, have to just wait and see what happens on the 31st of March. May turn out to be a repeat of the 2017. And if it is, we'll see it culminating with the removal of Mnangagwa and replacing him with Chwenga. It will not change anything politically on the ground. That is the tragedy of Zimbabwe. Why the nation has got to sit and wait for something to happen, helplessly twiddling our thumbs, when we have got a failed state and millions are living in abject poverty, and yet we cannot address those issues affecting the people's lives, because we are a one-party state and we are stuck with the ZANU-PF regime. That is the tragedy of Zimbabwe. Thank you very much, those who were able to join us, and we hope we'll be able to do it again tomorrow, same time, 6 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Zimbabwean time. Have a good evening.